What's up? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel, Sports, Life, and Politics TV. Today is October 7th. I'm Samuel Koppel, and I'm here to report the news. And we're going to dig into a few more stories and kind of read in between the lines and kind of see what's going on nationwide and globally. Touch on that international spice a little bit. See what's going on internationally too today. And the first topic and the first story we're going to go over is something that we went over yesterday, which is a story of Merced, California, which is off Highway 99 in Northern California. Not too far from Modesto, not too far from Stockton, and up the highway from Sacramento. Relatively small city. And there was a kidnapping of a family of 4. And I said yesterday when I made the video that family was dead. And unfortunately, I knew that because they said the man tried to harm himself. And the man who did it, to kill a 9-month-old baby, you have to be a low down, dirty, rotten, scandalous, no good, yellow belly. I mean, just a terrible human being, sadistic, satanic, cutthroat motherfucker to do some shit like that. I mean, that's terrible, y'all. To kill a whole family, no matter what the reason is. They say he was an ex-worker and he formerly worked for the family and the company. But they say it was over money, but by God, it has to have been another way to solve this, other than kidnapping them and executing all 4 of them. But let's take a look.
We now know the man accused of killing the Merced family of 4 found dead by a farmer in a remote orchard was a former employee of the family business. The Merced County Sheriff is calling this evil behavior and says what this person did has affected our world. The motive for the killings now appears to be a disagreement over money. The suspect was also convicted of a home invasion in 2005 where he held people captive. Kurt Rivera has been in Merced County throughout the day, where law enforcement has been working with little to no sleep since the family disappeared.
Well, you don't hear a lot of tragic stories on this scale here in the city of Merced. Talking to the sheriff here, Vern Warnke, he says in his 43 years he can't recall anything like this.
That sheriff got a hell of a badge on, don't he?
The loss of 4 members of the same family has hit this community very hard. Sheriff says his officers have been working around the clock.
I've got investigators, 24 or more investigators that have been on this case for 3-4 days now and running on absolute minimal sleep. Definitely the most evil, sadistic individual I think has ever come across here. And I've said it before, I'll say it now, there's a special place in hell for this guy.
I agree with the sheriff on that. Man, he riding the deepest, darkest parts of hell, you know. Kidnap a whole family, man, and executing them all. A woman and a baby. I mean, you can't go no lower than that. You talking about the definition of a low-life scumbag.
Sheriff says family members are coming from around the world to come here to Merced to mourn. A vigil for the family will be held tonight in downtown Merced at the Bob Hart Plaza at 7 p.m.
Kurt, thank you. The family of the victims want to clarify they are not asking for any donations or assistance at this point. There's no GoFundMe campaign or any other donation links set up, so anything claiming to be a fundraiser is probably fraudulent, they say. The Merced County Sheriff's Office says they will be the ones who make the announcement if that changes.
And yeah, that's just terrible, y'all. Prayers out to that family, man. You never want to see nothing like that happen. But life, man, life is something else in these, I don't want to say last days, but by God, it sure does feel like it, don't it, y'all? It feels like we coming upon a time to where anything goes. No rules, no regulations. Just, you can hurt or harm anybody at any time. And you have to protect yourself, man, at all costs. Like I said yesterday, man, I would have rather died in that office than let him take me somewhere and execute me. But we're going to move on to the next story, y'all. Arrest warrant issued for man accused of killing a woman over a basketball game. Sounds like there's way more to that. There ain't nobody killing nobody over no basketball game. But let's take a look anyway.
A Dallas family is facing terrible pain tonight. Police continue to search for a man the family called a friend who's now accused of killing their daughter. And the reason for the shooting might have you shaking your head in disbelief. Steve Pickett reports the killing apparently surrounds losing a basketball game on a playground.
Silence bounced off the backboards at TG Terry Park this afternoon. The basketball court sat empty while a mother and family tried to comprehend an incomprehensible act.
Asia loved basketball. She loved basketball to the point to where she died doing what she loved.
Monday, 21-year-old Asia Womack. She died after being shot multiple times. Police and paramedics found her near Dallas's Fair Park Grocery. But it was here, on the basketball court of Terry Park, Asia Womack played a game against a friend. Police identified that friend as 31-year-old Cameron Hogg. There's an arrest warrant for him now.
Now let me say this. There's obviously a chance that I could possibly be wrong, that this wasn't over no basketball game. But I've been around for a while. And yes, people have been shot and died over basketball games, but it's always been 99.99999% men or males. Never a female. In my assumption, I always leave room that I can be wrong, y'all. I always like to do that. But in my assumption that these two people were having sex together, and this was more than just a basketball game. This was love and basketball gone terribly wrong.
She's eating with this man, she's fed him, and he turned on her and killed her in a vicious way.
Exactly. He turned on her, and it wasn't because of no basketball game, y'all. Come on now. Come on now. A basketball game.
The motive for shooting and killing Asia Womack, as illogical as it may sound, the family believes the suspect didn't like losing a basketball game to Asia and didn't like hearing about it. Police.
And that court wasn't even swept off. Were they even playing basketball? I think personally they were having sex together, and it was something, relationship-wise or some type of disagreement on something else.
We're told Hogg became angry after being teased by Womack after losing the game.
This is so senseless. This is so, you become embarrassed, basically, because a female beat you in basketball.
If you know where he is, where his whereabouts are, please turn him in.
Steve.
Come on now, y'all. They make it like she was Joanna, man. Like she was out there teasing him, like she just glid from the free throw line, dunked on the man, hung on the rim, you know what I mean? Swung her lips on his neck. Come on, man. The lady couldn't have beat him that bad. Seriously, y'all. Even if she won, he couldn't have been that. The lady wasn't like she wasn't Clyde the Glide Drexler out there. She wasn't LeBron James. She wasn't Ja Morant. Come on, man. They'll sell you anything. This is tough for me to buy, y'all. It really is. But you never know. Obviously, there'll be more to the story as it unfolds, and I'll check back in and do an update on that story when I get more information. But we're gonna move on to the next story. Virginia NAACP leader killed in Turks and Caicos ambush shooting style. Anytime I hear about somebody that's part of some kind of political party or a leader of a NAACP group or some shit like that, I always think that this was some kind of execution or this was set up for him to die. You can always be wrong, y'all, but some things, it just can't be a coincidence. But let's take a look and see. Maybe it was.
And this is a still developing story. A lot of questions here. You may have heard of the American who was shot and killed in Turks and Caicos while on vacation. Well, he is local to the DMV. He is from Northern Virginia. His name is Kent Carter. He was an area activist and a local NAACP leader in Arlington. That's where Melanie Alwick is this morning.
Now, I'm gonna have to ask my homeboy about this. He been to Turks and Caicos. I know the gun laws over there is pretty strict. I don't know how many automatic weapons is in Turks and Caicos, but from the looks of that window, that was some automatic gunfire, and that automatically makes you a little bit suspicious. And most of the people on Turks and Caicos, that's residents there who live there, they don't have ain't a bunch of money floating around. Unless you working on one of them hotels or working at one of them, one of them real nice accommodation suites and places like that. I just can't see that them people on them islands doing drive-bys. But my homeboy Ben, I should have talked to him before I made this video and kind of got a little update, but this is hard to believe that they had these type of automatic weapons on Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, we just saw that video. That was the police car that had been shot up as well after the pursuit. I mean, this looks now on the surface, and what police have said is gang warfare playing out in Turks and Caicos.
Now, hear what he said? It looks on the surface, even he's not buying that. The look of that police car, they told that whoever that was desperate to get away. They were not going to be caught, which makes me think that this was some kind of assassination.
Something a lot of Americans might not even realize has been happening.
Yeah, and apparently this has been going on since September, just a rash of gang-related killings. And it does appear at this point that Kent Carter was just unfortunately in the wrong place at the wrong time. That, according to people who know him, I learned from his friend that he was there on the island celebrating his birthday with his girlfriend, and that they had taken a shuttle from the resort to an excursion to go jet skiing. And it was when they came back from that the gunfire erupted suddenly. So here I want you to hear from J.D. Spain. He is the president of the Arlington NAACP. We just spoke with him about his friend and mentor.
Mr. Kent Carter was not only a friend, but a true champion in civil rights and social justice. I've known Kent for over a decade, both he and his family, and he was just a gentleman, a gentle heart, one that you can go to, and he would do anything for you.
And Mr. Spain told me that his friend, Mr. Carter, Kent Carter, was also a military veteran trained in combat techniques, and that when the gunfire erupted, that apparently he covered his girlfriend to protect her. She apparently came out of this not physically wounded. Police in Turks and Caicos also responding to this. They say that someone else in that vehicle as well, an employee of a local business who was also riding in this vehicle, this hotel excursion vehicle, was also killed. The gunman armed with semi-automatic weapons after that shooting sped away. Later police caught up with them. There was a shootout. A Turks and Caicos officer and another bystander were shot and wounded. Later police said the suspected gunman was found dead. And now
oh, shit. The suspected gunman was found dead. Now, like I said before, I always leave room that you could be incorrect. But by God, I went from 60%. Now I'm up to about 85% this was an assassination. Anytime the gunman is dead and you never get to ask him any questions, they can bury the case. They can say that's him, he did it, and that's it. We don't have to dig any deeper. But he was a high-ranking official at NAACP, and he was killed. Who knows what else he had going on, what else he was into. I ain't saying he was into anything illegal, but he might have been vying for a position in politics or vying for a position in something else, or he was helping support something that we don't know nothing about that people didn't like, and found him in Turks and Caicos. I didn't know gang violence was that deep in Turks and Caicos, and usually they try to make sure that they don't hurt people who are on vacation, tourists. They try to make sure they don't hurt tourists, because you kill tourists, you kill your money. So usually they're not trying to kill the money. And usually gangs on there, they dealing with weed, cocaine, Molly, ecstasy, different drugs, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, there's a little more to this to me. And the man who did it is conveniently dead.
In addition to being a leader in Arlington NAACP. Mr. Carter was also a member of the county's police practices group and a realtor. We spoke with Rachel Sadoff, who recently worked with Carter in buying a home, and she says he was the kind of person who was easy to like.
You know, I know that he has a young daughter, and I have a kiddo that lives with me as well, and so we definitely bonded over, you know, we got to work around school pickup, we got to work around homework time, things like that, as I was buying the house, and he was just so great about that.
Now, the two people that they chose to interview, they didn't seem very sad, not a tear. I'm not saying they not, but my God, you're not. If you go back and watch this video, neither one of the people who they interviewed who knew the man, they weren't choked up. They wasn't sad. It wasn't no tears. It wasn't no, you know. That don't mean you got to cry, but sometimes you can feel the sorrow in a person. You can feel the hurt, the pain. And the two people they chose to interview, you didn't get a lot out of them.
Arlington County Board of Supervisors Chair Katie Crystal said Kent was a true leader, knowledgeable and determined on civil rights and gifted in relationship building, adding that Arlington County has lost an important voice and a friend. Locals there in Turks and Caicos are calling it Bloody Sunday, with 3 killed, 5 others wounded. The police commissioner there did say that it appeared that this was a targeted shooting, but he did not say who the target was. But again, at this point, it does not appear that Kent Carter was anything more than an innocent bystander.
Yeah, the man who did it is dead, so we'll never know. Let's go on to the next clip. Kanye West. They told me if I said I like Trump, my life would be over. Excuse me. Kanye West is so full of shit. Every time he has a shoe that he's about to drop, some clothing that he's about to release, some music that he's about to put out, he does these extreme things. Now, I seen the man the other day with a White Lives Matter t-shirt on, which is extremely ironic because they criticize people who wore Black Lives Matter t-shirts. So if it's wrong on one end, it's wrong on the other. You can't have it both ways. You cannot. If you saying the Black Lives Matter, which the organization, Black Lives Matter, was full of shit, then you would have to say this White Lives Matter shit is full of shit too, especially wearing the t-shirt. For what? What is that doing? Well, let's take a listen to what Kanye West has to say.
My so-called friends / handlers around me told me, like, if I said that
And when he said friends / handlers, all of these elite Hollywood people have handlers. They have people around them who work for people that signs these people checks. Like if you say, for instance, Britney Spears, I'll just give an example. She has handlers. She has people around her who aren't her friends, but are telling her what she should and shouldn't be doing. And that's coming from people that we don't see, like the head of studios, head of a studio. It might be Disney, it might be Marvel, it might be, you know what I mean? It might be somebody, the head of Universal. These people wield real power. So, or it might be somebody over the Sony music brand or whatever. But these people have handlers around them. So when he say the term handlers, that's the people who are around them, who are telling them what they should and shouldn't be doing, what they should and shouldn't say.
I like Trump, that my career would be over, that my life would be over. They said stuff like people get killed for wearing a hat like that. They threatened my life. They put my life. They basically said that I would be killed for wearing the hat. I had someone call me last night and said anybody wearing a White Lives Matter shirt is going to be greenlit, and that means that they're going to beat them up if they wear it. And I'm like, you know, okay, green light me then.
Subscribe to...
So he said he wanted to be greenlit. Kanye West. He's a hell of a character. I seen him and Candace Owens. Candace Owens is another character too. She's part of the far right. And the thing about Candace Owens, people be like, yeah, some of the stuff she say is true. Yeah, it is true. Some of the stuff she does say is true. But when you married to a white man and all you do is call out everything wrong that black people do, and you never call out anything else that anybody else does, then that automatically shows that you're biased and that you're really just, you know, you're just hanging on the nuts of one side. She's what you call a zaddy worshiper. You know what I mean? It don't matter who you, if you want to date outside your race, that's fine. I can care less, but Sometimes when people get to talking about race and they married to the opposite race, people gonna look at you funny style. No matter how you try to slice it, it does not matter. That's just part of the game. You have to be able to swallow that shit. Let's look at this next. Putin actions increase risk of nuclear Armageddon. Do I think they want to have nuclear Armageddon? Absolutely not, because it's a no-win situation for anybody. And I just don't see them wanting to do that. Could something happen by accident through happenstance? Absolutely. Absolutely. But right now, they're in the midst of putting the final pieces into the New World Order. I'm pretty sure everybody heard of that before. And right now, if you don't know about the New World Order, it's already basically completely at the pedals to the metal at this point on the New World Order. If you would, as a group, as a global government, London would be the financial sector, Rome would be the religious sector, and the United States, the Pentagon, will be the military sector of the New World Order. Just a little piece of game I'm giving you. But let's take a look at what they say.
Now at 11, President Joe Biden is delivering a stark warning tonight about the dangers of Russian President Vladimir Putin's nuclear threats. Speaking at a Democratic fundraiser, Biden says the risk of nuclear Armageddon is at the highest it's been since the Cuban Missile Crisis. His words come as Russia continues to face military setbacks in Ukraine. Last week, Putin announced the illegal annexation of 4 Ukrainian regions, saying he would use all available means to keep them. Despite Biden's warning, U.S. officials say they have not seen a change in Russia's nuclear posture. Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
And you won't. But they will step up some of the military things that they're doing in the Ukraine. Obviously, sometimes, you know, if you're losing, sometimes it's good to give back the ground, and then you can attack it from another way. You can do like asymmetrical warfare, you know, like terrorist car bombs, assassination attempts on government officials, all that type of stuff. Well, let's take it back to Vegas. 8 stabbed, 2 dead in attack on Las Vegas Strip. This was here recently in Las Vegas, where I stay.
Mike and Chair, a total of 8 people were stabbed in what police are calling an unprovoked attack. The 2 people that died, we're learning, are from Las Vegas. Vegas police say that fortunately they were able to quickly arrest the suspect and put an end to the stabbing spree.
Rescuers rush a Vegas showgirl to the hospital. She's one of the victims of a series of stabbings on the Las Vegas Strip. Meantime, the suspect can be seen on camera trying to make a run for it.
So a total of 8 victims, again, 2 of which now are deceased, 3 in critical condition. The other.
And let me tell you this. Sometimes, you know, things can happen randomly. Sometimes in Vegas, you have people who just go to Vegas and lose it all. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened here, but you never know. When you go to Vegas and you lose $60,000, you lost the kids' college fund and shit, people be snapping, man. People lose their goddamn mind. That's why you can't open the windows in Las Vegas on none of them high-rise buildings. Hell no, people jump out in a heartbeat. Yeah, but you just never know, man. There's a lot of whack jobs and nut jobs out here, man. Now, we're really nationwide, but man, that gambling is a beast. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but you never know. I'm just giving you a hypothesis on what could have happened. This man just went and started stabbing people.
Victims are at the hospital.
Witnesses say around 11:30 Thursday morning, a guy apparently claiming to be a chef walked up to some showgirls who were greeting people outside the Wynn Casino and asked to take a photo with them. When they refused, he reportedly started stabbing the showgirls with a large kitchen knife that he was holding, and then continued stabbing random strangers as he made his way down the strip.
Guy came, ran up, and started stabbing this lady in front of me, and she ran around the escalators and then strapped up under the bridge, and her girlfriend was trying to help her.
Witnesses described the chaos that unfolded during what police say was an unprovoked attack.
And I see a guy drop right there, and then his girl starts screaming, "Book it!" And I'm like, okay, something's going on. And then I realize, oh, it's even worse. And I start hearing at the same time I'm seeing screaming, and a guy take off his shirt to give chest impressions to the guy who dropped in front of me. I hear more screaming down here.
Police say they began receiving numerous 911 calls, and with the help of casino security, managed to arrest the suspect within moments of the stabbings.
Yeah, they were going to arrest him immediately. I mean, if you're going to commit a crime on the Las Vegas Strip, I mean, there's no way you're getting away. It's at least 1 million cameras on the Las Vegas Strip. So, and the camera that you see, when they show you the video is always like grainy. Man, they got 8K cameras, man, on this strip. Man, that shit, them cameras are so clear. The shit that the police see, bruh. Them cameras is crystal clear, but the cameras they give us, it always look like, so how the hell could you tell who's who? But obviously, their cameras are way better. That motherfucker be 1,000 megapixels.
I want to emphasize what I said to you earlier. The suspect is in custody. The strip is secure.
Investigators say they're now trying to get to the bottom of why a man police described as a 30-year-old...
You see what I mean? Look at this shit. Look at the camera shot they give us. Get the fuck, man, goddamn, you can't see nothing. You can't even tell what kind of cars those is down there. But you get the camera shit that they see, shit. But they don't want you to know that for whatever reason. It's like bait cameras and other certain cameras you might get a photo. It's like, damn, you can barely see. But the camera, the footage they get, oh yeah, 8K.
Latino went on this deadly rampage. The deceased have been identified as 2 Las Vegas residents. 47-year-old Brent.
They say it was a Latino man.
Merced Giovanni.
We want to extend our heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims and to the victims themselves.
Well, police say they have recovered that large kitchen knife that was used in the attacks. They say they do not believe the suspect is a Vegas resident. For now, reporting live here in News Center, Mary Beth McDade.
Okay.
Send back to you guys.
Like I said, he's not a Vegas resident. You never know. Could have lost it all gambling, y'all. But I want to say fair use, fair use. I'm using all these videos for educational purposes only. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Using these videos for educational purposes only. And let me tell y'all this, man. I don't know what's going on in the city of Philadelphia, but the city of Philadelphia, when it comes to these robberies and shootings and killings, man, they turned the volume up to 12 and it only goes up to 10. They done busted the speakers on the volume in Vegas, man. I mean, not Vegas, I mean in Philly. They shooting shit, killing shit, drive-bys. Oh, man, they doing it all in Philly, man. I just did a story yesterday on a little football kid that got killed, man. Philly, they out of control. Ambush, carjacking in Germantown, gas station, caught on camera. Let's take a look.
Right now at 11, a driver ambushed at...
God damn. That nigga got out like a Marvel superhero. Did you see how that nigga got... That nigga got out that thing and hopped right on the hood. God, if they wanted to kill that nigga, he was finished. Let's take a look again.
Right now at 11, a driver ambushed at a gas station. It's a frightening example of how the carjacking...
Hey, that nigga running with Cheetos and taquitos in his hand. That nigga said, oh, no, not today. You got to shoot me in the back. I don't blame you.
Continues to grow in Philadelphia. Good evening, I'm Jacqueline London. Police want to find the 4 gunmen they say pulled off this well-orchestrated attack.
Oh, they got Dracos and all the shit.
Station in Germantown, where this happened. So scary. Aaron.
You said it, Jackie. Awfully frightening, like a scene straight out of a movie. This video certainly catching the attention of anyone who sees it. Right now, we're near...
That nigga look like Lenny Kravitz's cousin, James Kravis.
House in Wissahickon in Germantown. We talked to a whole bunch of drivers out here today. They are definitely cautious and thinking twice about filling up at night. Do you worry about your startling, ridiculous, and frightening. Some of the words drivers are using after seeing this surveillance video from a gas station near Germantown. For those who didn't see it, we showed them. What do you think about what you see?
That's terrible.
You see 4 gunmen.
Yeah, that's terrible, man. I mean,
on Wissahickon Avenue Saturday.
and you know what, y'all? I always say in videos, protect yourself. You can't protect. Ain't nothing you really can do against these 4 motherfuckers. These 4 niggas hopped out that thing. They was ready to, man. They lucky. It looked like they was just really wanting to rob and not kill. This was more of a robbery. Thank God for this man's sake, because he was dead. You know what I mean? He was dead, y'all. He was dead to rights. They had him.
One jumps on the roof of the car, aiming his gun at the driver running away. Rich Gaines, who says he's always on alert, tells us he often thinks about these violent crimes.
For my wife and for my daughter, absolutely. And even for my sons, to make sure you remember, lock the door, have the seatbelts on.
Investigators say the victim was not harmed as he sprinted inside the store for help. So far this year, there have been 1,047 carjackings or attempted carjackings in Philadelphia. That number is dramatically higher compared to
Damn, they didn't double.
2022 during the same time in 2021. Kathy Dennison tells NBC 10 she was at the gas station that night about 15 minutes before the crime.
Do you think twice about filling up at night now?
To be honest with you, I didn't want to come here today. Okay, but like I say, it's convenient for me. And it just takes all the convenience out of your life.
She summed it up real good right there. She also says she's constantly looking over her shoulder, looking around at her surroundings. I gave you a few numbers in that story. Here's one more. Last year, in total, in 2021, there were 861 carjackings. With 3 months still to go here in 2022, we're nearly 200 carjackings above that number. For now, we're live in Germantown, Aaron Baskerville, NBC.
Well, like Lenny Kravitz's cousin said, that shit done doubled. But yeah, they acting up. They acting up in Philadelphia. They really are, y'all. How many more videos? What much time I got? I'm gonna go one more video today. This is, I think, is New Mexico. This is, matter of fact, let's take a look at this one right here. This is another one in Philly, y'all. 3 gunmen wanted for fatally shooting 19-year-old man. Let's take a look.
Meanwhile, police also want you to see this next video. Three gunmen firing dozens of shots in broad daylight, killing a 19-year-old man who was sitting on some steps.
Hey, that young man who was sitting on those steps never stood a chance in hell. You know, like I said, if God ain't on your side, it really don't. I would admit if it don't matter if you have a gun or not, man. He could have had 2 pistols. He could have been like Billy the Kid with 2 goddamn guns. He was a dead man. Let's take a look again, y'all. Yeah, he was finished.
Meanwhile, police also want you to...
I don't know what he did or what he done, so I don't want to just make it like he's a victim. He is a victim, but we never know. He could have been part of the same shit they was doing. He could have been doing it to somebody else. So before you start going too deep into, you know, feeling sympathy, if he was an innocent man or he really hadn't done nothing, God rest his soul, God bless him. But if he was doing the same shit they was doing, you know what they say, man, what goes around comes around. Let's take a look.
See this next video. Three gunmen firing dozens of shots in broad daylight, killing a 19-year-old man who was sitting on some steps. This happened last Monday, September 26th, in the 600 block of North 13th Street. Police said the gunmen were driven by a 4th.
Man, it's going to be so easy to find that car. Missing cap, paper tags, and all. Well, sometimes these shooters got a little smarter. They put some stolen paper tags and then put the real license plates back on there. But a lot of times they ain't as smart as they think they are. Them people, them cameras, man, is amazing. Like I said, man, they be crystal clear, man, and they catch something on that car that they didn't expect, and it be old girl's car. They ask her, and she say, she ain't going to jail for, and she'll say it was some dude she was fucking with, and whoop de whoop, and before you know it, they start catching people. But yeah, them niggas was caught on camera. They gonna want to catch them. That was a brazen, broad daylight execution.
Person in a dark-colored Nissan Altima. The same car is believed to have been used in another shooting last month, also on North 13th Street. 2 teens and
You know, another thing I noticed about these niggas who be doing this shooting, they not worried about the angles they shooting at. Like, they be shooting it, and one of their partners who be with them be in the same angle with them where they can shoot their homeboy on accident. Like, they don't take great angles. You know how the military and Navy SEALs, Green Berets, Army Rangers, when they come in rooms, they do it strategically where they don't shoot each other. They take angles to where they can't harm one another. But these niggas, you could tell. Like, let's take a look again. Let's take a small look again. Watch the man in the front seat of the car and watch the dude shooting behind him. Now look at him in the front seat. Look, now look at him shooting over the top. Could have easily blew his homeboy's head off.
in that shooting. There's a $20,000 reward in this case.
Absolutely terrible, man. Just terrible. And we'll make this the last one of the day. 14-year-old arrested after 12-hour violent rampage. This is New Mexico.
Police say a 14-year-old boy carjacked a mom who was with her son, shot up a party with an assault rifle,
killing a young man. He was arrested after crashing into a wall during a police chase hours later.
That sounds like some Grand Theft Auto video game shit.
13's Ariana Kraft is live at APD headquarters with what we're learning. Ariana.
14-year-old Isaiah Ruiz is accused of going on a violent rampage with his friends. A rampage that lasted about 12 hours and included 3 robberies and a murder.
This is completely unacceptable at all levels. These are not simple crimes. These are very heinous crimes. It's not just the murder, it's the robberies, the victims that were impacted. This is disappointing all the way to its core.
Police say 21-year-old Eddie Ortiz was hosting a birthday party at his home late Wednesday night near Coors and Bridge. They say when Ruiz and his friends weren't allowed in, Ruiz opened fire on the house with an automatic rifle, killing Ortiz inside. Police suspect they were in a Honda Pilot they'd stolen at gunpoint from a woman as she walked out to the SUV with her 5-year-old child. Investigators believe they stole another car at gunpoint that evening as well.
Oh, they was riding around just doing anything.
Wow. Yesterday morning, about 6 hours after the shooting, police say Ruiz robbed someone of their AirPods outside West Mesa High School. They tracked the AirPods using GPS, caught up with the...
You can track AirPods by using the GPS on the AirPods? Unbelievable. You learn something new every day. I did not know that.
Honda Pilot before it crashed into a cinder block wall off Montano. Ruiz was arrested after trying to run. Police say they found the assault-style weapon ditched in a yard. APD Chief Harold Medina says the number of crimes his agency sees involving young people is concerning.
Bottom line is these kids weren't part of the criminal justice system. They weren't released by any courts. These are young adults that at the age of 14 decided to commit murder. And we have to change the way that we're operating in the society. We need to have tough conversations.
Well, they'll never change nothing that's going on in the society as long as you keep God out of it. Once they took God out of the schoolhouse, they took God out of everything else, man. I'm telling you, man, you just can't work off this godless foundation. There's just like you're telling kids that there's nothing to believe in, that there's no consequences. You know what I mean? There's no repercussions for the things that you do, whether you dead or alive. You die, you just go on to I guess, I don't know where the hell they think they go. But there's a price to be paid even after death. Man, you can't just do whatever you want to do and kill whoever you want to kill, man. That ain't how the world works. That's a Luciferian principle. For anybody who think that you just died, it turns into black and then it's just all good. No, man, you have to pay.
We need to continue to work to make our community safer.
The person driving the stolen vehicle was identified as 15-year-old Diego Padilla. Padilla is being charged with armed robbery. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, Ariana. Now Ruiz is charged with...
But fair use, fair use, fair use. Y'all using these videos for educational purposes only, man. And we living in the days of the children of the corn. Kids killing anything and everything, man. No mercy being shown. A man just executed 4 people, including a 9-month-old baby. They just ran up on a man sitting on the porch and just dumped at least, it looked like they dumped at least about 40 bullets in him. Just no mercy being shown out here, y'all. It really isn't, y'all. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, man. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe. I just took your ass on the end of time ride. Peace.